Hi. Surprise, I'm doing another studio stream. I've started teaching again at the university where I'm employed on site on campus. And I am teaching a class this semester called Costume Accessories, which students have just completed a gloves project. And they're currently working on an accessories project that involves folding fans. They can choose one of a number of different props that a costume crafts artisan sometimes has to make instead of the props artisan because the costume designer will care about the look of the item, like a folding fan or a reticule, which is a period handbag, um, or a fur muff to warm your hands, things of that sort. That's what they're working on right now. The next project is a restoration of a parasol. And I have a collection of antique parasol frames. Um, but I also often will just sort of watch eBay to see if any auctions come up that have affordable parasol frames, and often ones that are the fabric has been very damaged. Perhaps it's silk and the silk has shattered over time. um, Often those will go for really cheaply, and also frames with minimal damage, like if they're missing a rib or missing a rib tip, or one of the ribs is bent. And we talk in my class I talk with my students about how to repair that type of damage. So it really is a restoration project as well as a um, renovation and replica project. So I watch eBay for parasol um, auctions, and I always bid a total of $25 from the total of the auction price and the total of the shipping, because then I can tell my students, if you want to keep this frame, it's $25, then I don't have to keep a lot of records, because I'm not really interested in making money off of this. I'm interested in getting a wider range of parasol frames. So I won an auction recently, but I bid on like 5 of them. And that's what this box is right here. And I had an idea to do this stream. I haven't done a stream in a while since I started back at work on site. And I thought I would stream opening this box and revealing which parasol frame it is that I won, because like I said, I bid the same thing on all of them, and sometimes I get lucky and I win one. So I'm going to open this up and we'll discover together what it is. If I remember correctly, the ones that I bid on this time around were primarily mid-century parasol / umbrella frames, which were manufactured usually in around the 1950s and were made to look like, I need better leverage, were made to look like parasol frames of the 19th century. And I do have, like I said, a large collection of those at work, but this frame, you can approximate those styles of parasols with the frames that were made in the mid-century, because often they were made from good quality materials. Like they have a metal frame that is very sturdy. They'll have handles that might be plastic, but they're early plastic, like casein-based plastic or bakelite, that are sturdy and resemble natural materials like amber and bone. So I'll bid on those mid 20th century ones, even if the students want to do 19th century parasol designs, because you can make that sort of thing work often. So I have opened this now, and I can pull this thing out, which the person who packed it has just wrapped it in tissue paper and looks like a dry cleaning bag. And then, well, there's a little note here. Let's see what it says. It came from Rochester, New York, a vendor named Barn Swallows Loft, collectible clothing, and apparently also parasols. Um, and they've done a pretty good job of packaging this. If you watched my other parasol unboxing video from a donation, like that kind of, those were just sort of thrown in a box, but I suspect they weren't shipped. I think they were just dropped off. Thrown in a box, but I suspect they weren't shipped. I think they were just dropped off. Or however they came to me. They weren't in the condition that they were prepared by the owner. So yeah, that's a dry cleaning bag, and then it's wrapped in tissue paper inside of here. It's got, I can already tell, it's got a hook handle here, which is, we love that in the theater because performers always love to be able to hook the parasol over their wrist and also use it in their physicality like a cane. Or at least that's what I've observed. I'm not a performer, but I have worked with a lot of them and I make a lot of these parasols for them. And oh, nice. This looks like a good one. So this will be, my students have already, some of them have already looked at the parasol frames that I have, and some of them have not because it's not that project yet. So, you know, the ones who like to be plan well ahead have already looked at them, and some of them are focusing on the reticules or the folding fans that they're working on. All right. So this is a mid-century umbrella, but also could be used, the frame could be used as a parasol frame because it has this extended handle here. I have, in my experience, that is one of the visual signifiers of a parasol. The other thing is a very ornamental canopy, which this is not a very ornamental canopy, but this long handle that allows you to use it as both a walking stick and a sunshade is just sort of one of the design elements that I think of as intrinsic to parasols, at least from a stage perspective, at least from plays in the Western tradition, which is primarily my experience. We talked a bit in the parasol lecture, which is actually, I did a recorded version of it, and we watched that and discussed it in class, which I discovered that the sound quality on it is quite bad. So I might re-record that with a little better sound quality. But anyway, I'm probably going to add a card to the recorded version of this stream. So they'll be up there, maybe up here. Can't ever tell if I'm mirrored or not. But there'll be a link to it when I go back and edit this. And let's look at this. This is a nylon cover. Let's see what the shape of this dome is and how many ribs it has. This has some really, oh, there's a couple of rib tips have come off. Oh, all right. Well, all that tells us is that the rib tips come off of this frame, which my students who looked at the vintage frames that I already have and the antique frames, one of them was looking at one that doesn't have rib tips. It just has holes in the ends of the ribs, so you sew your canopy directly to the frame. So now I discovered that I'm missing a rib tip here, which is okay because I collect parasols and harvest the parts from ones that are too damaged to repair. And I also pick up discarded umbrellas in the street and on the subway and stuff because they have a lot of their parts are transferable to old parasol frames. So like rib tips are kind of universal among a lot of different umbrella and parasol styles. So I will definitely have a replacement for the one that's missing. Oh, nice. Nice, nice. So we have some sun damage and there are some holes in this canopy. So I'm not weeping that somebody's going to take this off and remake it. But I want you to notice, we look at this in every Parasol video on my channel, how many panels there are in the frame, because that's one element of design that we can observe. And so when we count across the half, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which makes this a 10-paneled parasol canopy, which most contemporary parasols, like the kind that are sold for wedding parties or second line celebrations in New Orleans and Southern Louisiana, most contemporary parasols that have like a nylon cover and maybe a little polyester lace ruffle trim are a 6-panel or an 8-panel canopy design. And so this being a 10-panel canopy already tells me that it's probably a 1950s frame and that it could pass for many different eras in the 19th century, which is very exciting. And when we look at, when we look at the handle here, we have some paint missing, and I'm of two minds about that. If a student chooses to do this for their project, to do a reproduction parasol on this frame, if they want to restore the wood part of the handle shaft, that I encourage that, because we do have some damage here. But I feel like you could do that two ways. You could strip it and completely start, you could strip this chipping paint away and completely start over, or you could paint over the whole entire thing with some kind of enamel. We have this, I don't know if you can see this really cool little molding here, or sculpting here on the metal part of this frame. The metal hook has this cool sort of like a flower blossom sort of capped onto the end of the hook here. And there's some damage to this. I think this is probably an aluminum handle because it's very lightweight, and it has, it has a dent in it here. So it's a soft metal. It looks like aluminum to me, and just the visual quality of it, as opposed to if it were pewter. I think it would have a darker tone to it. It's not silver because it's not tarnished, and so this is an exciting parasol that I've got here for, as I've said, a flat $25. And my students, I'm going to take it to work on Monday and add it to the parasol stock so that they could choose from it. The class that I'm teaching, costume accessories, just for the sake of making this stream a little bit longer, I'll tell you about it. We do projects in 4 different areas of costume accessories: gloves, small hand props, footwear, and parasols. And then this year, because the curriculum is changing a little bit, the final unit is going to be on fiber typology. So weave structures and fiber contents of different types of fabric, that they create a swatch book that is sort of a reference moving forward into their careers. And I have 6 students this semester. We have 3 first-year grad students, 2 second-year grad students, and 1 continuing education student who actually graduated from UNC last year as an undergraduate and is just taking the class because they're interested in this, in these topics. I want to mention before I sign off that I have a book coming out at the end of the month, September 30th. Through Focal Press. It's called A History of the Theater Costume Business, Creators of Character. And I'll put a link in the video description after the stream ends where you can order it. And I have a discount code that you can use if you order through the publisher that'll give you 20% off. And just in case, well, it's SMAO8 SMA08, SMA08. And that's only good through November 30th, 2021. So if you're watching this video after that fact, sorry, it expires. And actually, if you don't have the money to buy it or don't have the inclination to buy it, but you would like to still help me out a bit, you could request it through your local library. And in fact, whether you watch this video before or after the code expires, if you really want to support my work and my writing, buying it through a local bookstore, even though you won't get the special discount, buying it through a local bookstore supports that local bookstore business and the sales of my book. So I would really appreciate that. I would also just like to mention that I've written a book on parasol restoration. So if you're interested in finding your own, maybe you have a family heirloom that needs restoration, or you just want to buy these things off of eBay that are fairly inexpensive because the covers are damaged and remake it yourself. I've written the only, so far as I know, extant book on parasol restoration and recovery called Sticks in Petticoats, and I'll put a link to where you can buy that. It's sold either as a downloadable ebook or in paperback. I didn't issue it in hardback because you want the book, you want to be able to press it open and not feel bad about breaking the binding. If I could have issued it as a spiral bound, I probably would have picked that, but it's paperback or on your e-reader. And I will put a link to that in the description to this video as well. So thank you so much for joining me. I see nobody is commenting in the chat, which is totally fine. I almost never interact in, well, actually I'm lying. I'm totally chatty in live streams, but it's totally fine. I welcome your silent viewership regardless. And I don't know when I'll be doing another stream. I used to stream every Thursday as live studio time, but now that I'm back at work on site, on campus, in the theater shop, safely masked, distanced, but now that I'm working a regular 40-hour a week schedule, I don't have as much time to stream from home. So this is going to be just sort of a one-shot deal whenever I have an excuse to do something cool, like unbox this parasol that I've just opened. Or I don't know, maybe I'll schedule something else, but I think it's going to be sort of spontaneous and on the fly like this moving forward. Thank you for joining me so much. And if you decide to create your own parasol reproductions, I wish you the best of luck, and I would love to see what they turn out as. And I'd also love to answer any questions you have about parasol manufacture, restoration, repair, and so forth. Please ask those in the comments to this stream, or I should be getting a community tab soon because I now have over 1,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for subscribing to my channel, and welcome if you're new. And I'll see you next time.